Well,
Oh,
just
you, hey, I love that image. That's one of your better ones.
it's I'm embracing. I was just out at the Out of Chicago Botanic Garden event, which was really great at in Chicago, obviously, and there's a lot of out of focus blur going on there, so I decided I'm going to embrace the blur.
Hey, last evening,
Oh,
and of course, who knows when this will air, but they had a big showing of the Aurora Borealis. Have you ever thought about photographing that?
no, not really. I'm not a big, it's just green. I mean, like what? It's just, and you've seen so many images, but you know what I might consider doing is doing it in black and white and calling it the heavenly. I'm trying to come up with a name. What was the one you came up with?
The curtains of
The
heaven.
Curtains of Heaven, version two of the Rhythm of the Aurora. God, what was I thinking? I could have had the Curtains of Heaven, but I decided I should have consulted you, is what I
You
should
should have,
have done.
yes. Yeah.
Hey, so what's on your mind today?
Well, in my most recent newsletter, I always give a print away. And this time I didn't specify the print. I said, pick your own print.
I saw that and I was hoping I'd win.
And I was, after a while, when people would enter, I thought, well, this would be interesting. Ask them which print they would choose and
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
And the and why was quite illuminating.
Oh, interesting.
First of all, that people picked images that were so obscure.
Really?
There were several that no one had ever commented on or noticed. And so I started asking why. And what I found was, and this reinforces a belief of mine, that while I create my images through my vision,
Yeah,
the viewer sees it through their vision.
totally.
And it was always things like, I remember one, there's this image called Leaving Maui, I think it's called. And it's just the wake of the boat in a long exposure as I'm leaving Maui. And this guy wrote and said that he spent many a day on a boat just sitting there staring at the patterns. And so it brought back memories of
Yeah.
childhood or experiences. And I thought it was quite interesting when we connect with an image, the why.
The why. Yeah.
Now, I remember my favorite Ansel Adams image. It's a rather not obscure image, but not one of his most popular, Frozen Lake. And it didn't bring back any memories of anything. I just loved how it looked.
Yeah.
But when I listened to people, it was almost always some kind of an experience that the image brought them back to.
I, my only experience is one of the shows that I hung, a gal came, and I probably shared this on an old episode, but a gal came and she looked at this Klingman's Dome, which is the recession of plains of mountains up at the top of the mountain in the Smokies, and she was in tears. So I'm like, is my print that bad? you know, and she said no, and she literally, sobbing said, "This is home." So totally a connection. And she had to have that. She bought the print because it just reminded of her childhood and where she spent all her time. Every vacation, she went to that Klingman's Dome every year. So it was home for her.
Yeah, you wonder why people, when they buy a print, why they choose the print. I think Brooks recently did. Here's a thought about that. And he said it was always a personal connection with the photographer. He says whenever he went into someone's home and he saw photographs on the wall, they say, "Oh yeah, this is so and so, and I met this guy," and they would tell the story of how they met the person, or how they knew the
Interesting.
person, or how they had a connection to
Yeah.
the person. So when you have a favorite image that you see, is it, how do you say, "Oh man, I love that"? Is it a connection to the person? Is it a connection to a childhood memory? What?
Boy, if I think about you and your work, I mean, the one image, and it's going to be similar to, I suspect, well, you said just recently that maybe it was all over the board, so maybe not a lot of people chose the Angel Gabriel, but
Well, they did.
oh, okay, because I remember needing to have that print, and if I've not given thought to the why, so if I had to sit right now and answer that, I would say it's because of the story. The
Yeah.
story is really powerful, and it just makes that image so much more meaningful to me. Um, but I think, if I had to pick a Michael Kenna, I don't know if I could do that right at this moment. even an Adams, it would probably be something that I had seen because you've been showing the print book, and I have that book. My mother got me the print and the negative. Wasn't there a third one?
There was the something about fine art one, and there was all
Yeah, yeah.
sorts of them. Yeah,
I had all those,
yeah,
and so it'd be something from there. Um, but I think the example I'll stick with is the one of yours, Angel Gabriel, because of the story.
yeah. I do think that I like to call it the story behind the image,
Yeah.
um, and I do think that helps make a connection to the image. But when I think of them, again, my favorite Ansel Adams, it's just purely how it looks
Yeah. Okay.
that makes it special to me. So I asked you beforehand, let's just each of us share
Yeah.
our favorite image of our work.
Okay.
And I think it's hard because I noticed that if you asked me today, it might be one thing, and tomorrow it would be another, and next week another. So it's one of our favorite images. Go ahead and show
Yeah,
one of
because when
your.
that's true, folks. Because when he asked me, I said, "So wait a minute, you need me to pick my favorite?" I don't know what that is right off the top of my head. I certainly have favorites, and then I thought more about it, and I realized that I do have. I'll get this shared here. So I do have this image.
Yeah, that's a fantastic image.
Well, thank you. And you want me to probably share the why, right?
Well, I don't know if you can. I mean, is there? I mean, how do
Well,
you put into words something you just love? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because now you've got me as tends to happen in our shows when we don't prepare and we just let it be organic. I know why when I show this image in a presentation or wherever, it's generally my comment is this. It's probably the only fine art image that I have in my portfolio, at least for me to be able to say that comfortably, that I feel like this falls into that category, whatever fine art, black and white photography is. And that's another whole discussion. I also love it because of the experience of being there. I loved
Mm.
this. I love New Zealand. This is South Island, New Zealand. It's a glacier lake. I love the fact that it was a very, very crappy day, honestly. And when you look at the raw file, you would almost feel like there's nothing there. I love the fact that it took me until I met you to learn how to do dodging and burning to be able to get those distant mountains to look the way my vision had them when I made, because I couldn't get the dark and the lights to be right on those mountains at all. It just wasn't working. And it took dodging and burning the way you do it for me to be able to finally get this the way I really wanted it to look. So it's all those things. It's the fact that I love this so much that I am comfortable saying, I think this might be a fine art image if I have one. And then, man, the experience of being there in a place that I really love, and then finally being able to craft something. This probably comes the closest to your Angel Gabriel, where you had that epiphany that you had a vision for what you wanted your image to be, and then created it. That was kind of a turning point for you. I would say this is the same for me, because we had just met, I want to say, in didn't we agree it was like 2014 or 15 that we met? We've known each other for 10 or 11 years. And I think this was a 2015 trip, if I remember. And so that was a turning point for me to realize that I did have a vision for this image when I set up the shot. I was even going to remove some things. There were some pieces of ice in the foreground that I thought were very distracting, and I had no problem removing them. I knew that's what I was going to do. I changed it to a 4x5 format because it just felt better compositionally. I did that in camera while I was shooting it, right? Just so I could pre-visualize what I was going to do. But anyways, enough of that. Those are my thoughts. So
I
I'll
think
ramble
that it appeals to me also the centeredness. I just am drawn to centered images, and the rather squarish format helps. And then, of course, the sky leading down. Yeah, it's interesting. You bring up another reason why we might love images, and that is the experience when we created them. And another thought that I had as you were talking about the angel Gabriel, it's difficult for me to choose the angel Gabriel as my favorite image because it's so popular.
Huh.
And I always have a hard time separating what is popular from what I love. If you'll
Yeah.
remember, when I did the first step of my 10-step process to find my vision, it
Yep.
was divide my images into the favorite ones,
Yes.
and the others.
Yep.
And I couldn't tell you which ones that I loved because
Mm.
all I knew was which were popular, which sold, which were published, but I couldn't answer which ones I loved. And now that line has been so blurred with the angel Gabriel that I'm afraid to choose it because I
Yeah.
would not be choosing it for the right reason.
Yeah. Interesting. A
The image I
valid point because as you're pulling yours up, but it's hard to separate sometimes that likes that you get from those who
absolutely.
love it. But I think you've already done the work, is my feeling on that, is you've already done the pile, and Angel Gabriel's definitely in that pile of loves.
Yeah, it is, but again, it's difficult when something is popular to separate the accolades from your own feelings.
That's true. I get it. Yeah.
Now,
All right, let's show your image.
the one I chose is one that I've never chosen before, but for some reason this morning, this
That's
is the image that I chose. Now,
interesting.
are you seeing it without any controls over the image?
I am now. Yes.
Okay. Um, and I can't tell you why.
Huh. Interesting.
I can't tell you why. It's got something to do, of course, with the lone man amongst the ghosts. But
Yeah.
and when I was creating these images, I had this thing in my mind that I didn't want to show any living people. But then when I processed this one, I just said, "Wow, I need to keep that one." So
Yeah.
it's the only one in the series with a living amongst the dead. But I
Interesting.
can't tell you why. It certainly
Interesting.
wasn't the experience. It was in a sense, a miserable experience.
Right. Right.
So as people choose their favorite images, I do think when they're not choosing their own, but looking at other people's work, boy, there seems to be a myriad of reasons why an image might get chosen as a favorite.
Yeah.
Um,
You know why I would not choose this as my favorite?
huh.
Your blacks are really blocked up. If that were my image, Cole, I would just have a little more detail in those blacks.
Yeah, well,
That's another show that we've already done. Oh, that whole series is just, I mean, if there, I think I know how we met through social media or through your website or something. It was what it was. But man, I remember that, my first experience with the whole Ghost of Auschwitz series and just, I talked to Tony Sweet about it. I remember vividly that. And Tony said, exact quote, that might be the most important work of our lifetime.
yeah, he's been very generous with his comments, as
Yeah.
have you. I'm showing that this year at my studio tour. So if anybody's out here in October, I think it's 25, 26 October, come by my house and see the large prints for real.
Yeah, do that. And then do you have a question for folks if they're still actually watching?
A question? I
Yeah,
don't think
about
so.
why do they have a
Yeah, just
favorite?
analyze why is it when you're choosing one of your images, how do you determine what's your favorite? And then when you're looking at someone else's images, how do you determine what your favorite is?
Yeah. Okay, Cole. Always good to chat. Until a couple of more minutes, we'll see you.